guys, welcome back to the channel. It's early on a Saturday morning, really cold, but I'm down here in St. Joseph, Missouri at Revolution Lanes for my first ever senior tour event. It's not the PBA 50 tour. I'm going to be doing some of those, some regionals and some national stops hopefully, but we're testing the waters with the Northwest Missouri Seniors Tour. This is a tour that a number of guys from around Omaha have attended, and I've been following for a couple of years, anticipating the time I turn 50, which I did just a few days ago. So we're down here going to kick off my quest to see how I do. The Northwest Missouri Seniors Tour is tour style in which they have points based on each of the stops. There's a number of stops throughout the season. I'm jumping in about halfway through, so I'm about 7 stops behind some of the other guys, but not everybody does every event, so maybe I can do well in the remaining second half of the season and crawl my way back up and get some points and maybe make it to the Invitational at the end of the season. But even if I don't, this is going to be good first experience. I certainly do not think that I'm going to be the young buck coming in here thinking that he can mop up the field of these older guys who've been around. These are some really good bowlers. This tour is not a sport shot pattern type of tour. They do house shots, so there's going to be some room out there. There's going to be really high scoring, but these are really good bowlers, and you got to bring your A game. And even though it's a house shot, you still have to beat the competition. So that's what it's all about. So we're going to see what I can do, and wish me luck. Hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't already, and we'll see you out on the lanes. Well, guys, I'm coming at you on a Sunday afternoon on my way back from St. Joe's. I actually did not record a closing after yesterday's event, and then I came back down again today for the second event. Yesterday's was a non-champions event. Today was a regular event, so included champions as well. And I actually didn't record today's event because I knew I'd have a lot of editing to do after yesterday's event, so I chose just to bowl today. So I'm going to fill you in on what happened on both events. Starting with Saturday's event, I knew that it was a house shot, and but it's a bowling alley I've not bowled in before. Didn't know what to expect there. I had a pretty good idea how I wanted to play the lanes, and had a good shot with a few different balls, but ultimately there was a lot of sharp angle from the outsides. There's a lot of oil in the middle, but the outsides were really flying. So I wanted to blend the lanes a little bit more, and I started with the Black Widow 3.0, and I had a pretty good look with that. I did leave a number of 10 pins those first couple of games, and I realized later that I needed to hit the ball a little bit harder at the bottom. But I pulled out a 207, 200 those first two, which did put me a bit behind the pace because it's a very high-scoring tournament. Like I said, it's even though it's a house shot, so there's going to be good scores, but these seniors are really good bowlers as well. So, being +7 after 2 games puts you pretty far down on the list. So I ended up changing balls game 3 to the hammer effect and wanted a little more oomph on the back end to carry out those 10 pins. And I still tapped a number of times. I left actually 2 stone 7s, I think 3 stone 8s, 2 stone 9s, and then a bunch of 10 pins. But I was having a better reaction. I shot 220 something game 3 and a 247 game 4. That actually was good enough for high game that game. And then game 5 and 6, it started to actually carry down a little bit. So the move was back to the right just a little bit. But I had, I think, a little tougher time carrying out some of those corner pins. So ended up going 2-2-0 the next 2. And then by the last game, they started to hook a lot again. And I didn't want to go left with the effect because that's pretty much going to guarantee I'm going to leave some 10 pins. So I pulled out the theorem, and that's a ball I like to move left with when I need to play a lot deeper. I can get it through that oil, spark on the outsides farther down the lane, and get pretty good carry. And I shot 229, and that was with stoning that 8 or 9 pin or whatever it was on the 11th frame. So that could have been a 240 game. I was a little worried that the 240 game was going to cost me that last cash spot. Turns out I ended up in 13th, and they paid the top 11, so I missed out by 23 pins. So that stone 8 or stone 9, whatever it was I left, ended up not being the thing that cost me. So I felt better about that. And 13th, while it's disappointing to not get cash and miss out just by a little bit, I was pretty happy for my first senior event to be that close to the cash line, and had a lot of fun. Those guys I bowled with were really nice, and everybody accepted me really well. So I was happy to get to bowl with those guys. So I drive down there this morning, and I decided, hey, this is another house shot. I've now bowled here. I know what it's like. And I started in practice with the 3.0, and it looked okay, but I had a little better look with the effect right away, and I was making sure I hit it at the bottom, and I ended up shooting a 258, and that was with another stone high flush 7 pin that first game. So that first game, I really had the look really good. Proceeded to shoot 236, 237, 235, 235 the next 4. So I was looking really good, and I was staying right around 4th, 5th position most of the day. Then after game 5, we had to go all the way to the front end of the house, and ended up seeing that the lanes were jumping a little bit more, as was expected after that many games. And I ended up switching to the theorem, and I had a great look on one lane, but the other lane, it was just jumping so hard if you leaked it even just a little bit out to the right. And unfortunately, I did that 3 times, all on the right lane. And so I didn't strike it all on the right lane until the 10th frame, and it's hard to put a good game together when you aren't putting strikes together. So struck out in the 10th, finally found that shot, and ended up with a 195. So I salvaged a decent game. I was still in 5th place, so I was still hanging on to 5th, but a lot of guys were right on my tail going in the last game. So last game, I was sticking kind of with that same deep line, playing more the middle of the lane, trying to keep it away from the outside. And for the most part, it was looking good. I had a couple shots that weren't the best, but I was doing okay, and had a chance to shoot in the 220s, which I thought was going to be okay. And I just ripped a 10-pin first ball in the 10th. and that cost me 20 sticks. So I ended up with a 205 the last game, and I was really sweating it out. Turns out I finished 5th by 1 pin over the 6th place person. So I made it into the step ladder. Unfortunately, I bowled against Brian Manini, who is a fantastic bowler, and he actually runs the bowling center down there. So he is like a multiple time winner on this senior tour. So he's tough competition. He ended up catching me 220 something to 190 something. It was the left lane in that match gave me a little bit of trouble. Again, I was trying to keep it tight, and I was keeping it too tight and was going light a number of times. And I actually moved to the right a couple boards in the 10th to see if maybe I could tighten the line a little bit. Went light again. So instead I moved back the other way, moved left to give me a steeper angle and try to hit the dry, but hit it way down lane and hit it flush. And that's the move I should have made a lot earlier, but I didn't and ended up falling short. But finished 5th and made it to a step ladder, so that's super exciting, and I was very proud of that. I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to record today for you guys, but senior tour, that's the way to go. These guys were amazing both days. Everybody I ran into, everybody I talked to was just so great. So I'm definitely going to be doing this every stop that I can. I know there's one where I have a conflict, but I'm going to try to do the rest of these Northwest Missouri Senior Tour events. I'm going to do some PBA 50 stuff this year as well as still doing some regionals with Tyler and a couple other guys. So looking forward to all that. Looking forward to a great season. As always, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you at the next tournament.